Hey guys, so for some time now I have been using these resins from Pac Dent for my 3D printing, and the guys at Pac Dent asked me to do a little video on why I like these resins, what specifically I like about them, and things like this. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my experience with these resins and why I decided to use them in my practice. And I'm trying to be honest here. I'm not trying to sell you anything, and just kind of my thing and what I do in my lab and what works for me and what doesn't. Uh, One of the main resins that I use almost daily in my lab is the Resin resin from Pac Dent, and there's a couple of things I like about it a lot. First of all, I like the fact that once the denture is printed, I use it on either just duplicate dentures, and I also use to print hybrids from them, but not regular hybrids. What basically happens is that a lot of times nowadays we've changed the protocols a little bit, but a lot of times the dentist will do a 360-degree scan of a hybrid, a temporary hybrid, on the patient, and they'll send it to me with the impressions. And what I basically will do is I'll print that 360-degree scan and fit it to the model and attach it with some screws. So when I'm fitting it to the model and I'm trying to grind through things, a lot of resins, when you try to do that, they'll kind of start just chipping away and breaking and stuff like this. With this resin, it actually grinds really, really nice and smooth, and I'm not worried about chipping and breaking it. So I like that a lot about it. I like the fact that the resin is very stable. I've used some other resins, some try-in resins, and I've had issues with fit, or I've had issues with fit over time. Like, for example, you print something and it looks great right now, but the second you take it somewhere else, a couple of weeks go by, and next thing you know, it's not fitting in the mouth anymore. So I don't have that issue with the try-in resin, and I've been really happy with it. And the third, which is a very important factor for me as well, is the cost. You know, you can get some good resins out there, obviously, but they're going to be astronomical costs involved. And what I like about Pac Dent, guys, they create a good product, and the price is really good as well, which makes it really easy for me to kind of speak about these resins, because I don't feel like I'm trying to sell you something, because I mean, the quality and the price kind of matches, and people are pretty comfortable buying that themselves. So that's the main one that I use a lot in my practice. And then we do a few temporary prototypes and hybrids, and for that I use the ceramic filled resin, the sculpture. And what I like about that resin is the fact that out of the many resins that I've tried, this one actually matches the shades pretty closely. So if you got a B1 in there, and you process it correctly, and what I mean is just not just printing it, but if you using the correct processing procedures, you get the B1, or at least pretty close to that. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be exactly B1, but it's going to be within like half a shade, which with some other resins, even more expensive ones, I haven't seen that happen. So that makes me pretty happy. And also they sent me a little uh, advertisement the other day, and I've noticed that they kind of make it an Alvita shade, so that makes it really nice as well. And the strength of it is great. I just took a temporary prototype from a patient's mouth that was in there for about 4 or 5 months, and wear was almost non-existent, and it held up pretty well. I did put a glaze on it, some composite and some glaze on it, so it looked pretty nice, and it didn't stain much at all, so I was pretty happy with it. So that's my second most used one. The third one that I started using just recently is the surgical guide resin. What I like about that resin is the fact that it's got a little blue tint to it, so it's actually a very nice and pleasing color. And I wasn't sure why they did it that way until I actually called them, and they let me know that it actually creates a very nice contrast intraorally and makes it nice for the surgeons when they're fitting it intraorally to see if it's down all the way or not. And I've actually not just printed the surgical guides from it. I've printed a couple of splints from it as well. It has a very nice color for the splints, for the hard splints. So those are my three main ones that I use, and also the cost of the sculpture resin and then the surgical guide resin is pretty minimal compared to some other resins out there. I mean, for some of them, it's actually like half price of what the other ones are sold. But the quality is very, very top notch, because I don't want to compromise on quality. But the issue was like, you get the quality product, but you really have to pay a lot of money. With these guys, you get really good high quality product for not an astronomical amount of cost. And the fourth one that I'm still kind of dialing things in, not from the standpoint of me using it, but from the standpoint of I haven't had too many cases come in to where I've done printed temporaries, because for me, printed dentures are temps or long-term temps, and I haven't done that many of those, so I haven't used the denture-based resin a lot. But from what I have seen and everything else, and for what I have used, it's been a really good resin. And they're working on some other stuff right now, which I can't really talk about, but it's going to be very nice stuff. So pretty happy with the company, pretty happy with everything that they've been doing with their resins and everything they've done for me so far. So big thanks to you guys at Pac Dent, and hopefully you guys are going to be coming out with some cool stuff and some even better products that you're already making right now. Thanks. Bye.